Well, hello, hello, hello. This is our Friday Live with Adrian and Attilio. And who are we with, Adrian?
We're welcoming back the one and only Kyle Shimoda.
Kyle Shimoda. So this is for those of you out there, maybe your first time people tuning in to the millions and millions of viewers that are watching this right now, or maybe watching this later.
I'll be
They're like,
watching
what
it
is
later.
this? They'll be watching it later. What is this? Well, we do a Friday live stream on a couple of different platforms. What are the different platforms we're on, Adrian? In case somebody's on one
So,
and
yep.
like, I want the other one.
Yeah, you can catch us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube.
Or YouTube. All right,
Mhm.
cool. And every Friday, 11:30 to 11:45, 50, right around there. No more longer than a TED Talk. Well, uh, I like shows where they just get to it. So real quick, Kyle, local style. Tell us about you. How did you come to be? How did you become to be in Hawaii? What is your kumulipu, your origin story in 2 or 3 sentences, a couple sentences?
Well, born and raised in the islands, actually grew up on Kauai. So, graduate of Kauai High School, went to University of Hawaii and Kapiolani Community College. So I have a degree in both marketing and finance in business. And then I also have a culinary arts certification. So that's a little side hobby is I love to cook.
Yeah.
So
So
food and finance.
food and
That's what I
Well
do.
finance.
balanced. You
Well
are a well
balanced.
balanced individual.
Yes.
And then
Well, originally I found out like girls like guys that can cook and like
that's
have
it.
money, so I figured I better specialize in those two.
So you can either go to them via their checking account or through their stomach. From their
Yeah, I was
stomach.
always wondering how you're able to get together with such a wonderful lady like Lori. So
Yes.
that was it. That was the
Awesome.
secret sauce was the cooking and the money.
Food, yeah, I
Okay.
think it was the food. Well, when we met, it was like my first week in the business in
Yeah.
finance. So I told her I'm a long-term investment. You just gotta stick with
Yeah.
me a long time.
Yep. And the dividends have been paying back ever since. What
Yes.
speaking of dividends and this jargon and stuff, so how did you get into this wealth advising?
I've been in business for 16 years, and I started off like a lot of advisors doing insurance. So I started off doing mostly insurance. Found out that I wanted to help people at a greater level, so I went into investment management and then financial planning and wealth management. So that's kind of been my transition throughout the 16 years. So right now, financial planning, investment advisory, and I specialize in Delaware statutory trust, which is how I ended up connecting with the two of you.
All right, Adrian, your question.
So I put my question on the bottom of the screen. You mentioned this Delaware Statutory Trust. Like, what is that, just in a nutshell?
All right. So yeah, Delaware Statutory Trust, it's a security, and in the security we place institutional quality investment property, right? And the unique part of a DST is that it qualifies as like-kind property in a 1031 exchange, right? So for people that are doing exchanges, they're selling investment property. In order for them to defer their capital gains, they need to replace with another investment property. So investment for investment. Yet they can go from selling an apartment to buying a commercial property or land or vice versa. So as long as it's investment to investment, and as we know in this market right now, it's inventory is very tight. It's very difficult to find replacement properties if you were to sell something, and you're also competing with a lot of people in this market at a high price. So you might sell your investment property for top dollar. Now you're competing with other investors looking for replacement, looking for investment property at top dollar also. So that further tightens up the inventory. So what's nice about a Delaware statutory trust is a minimum investment is $100,000. If you're purchasing in as a fractional owner into these trusts that own properties that are valued anywhere from 50 million to 200 million. So you become an investor alongside other investors. And one of the true benefits is, well, number one, you can replace your relinquished property in the exchange, so you defer your capital gains, and you don't have to manage the property. And these trusts pay pretty nice dividends and income, which in some cases, like if you're replacing property in Hawaii, you likely could maintain or increase your income.
So one other benefit that I didn't realize this until I actually went through the process with Kyle and his team was the benefit of the non-recourse loans. So you get like this wonderful benefit without having to have a big loan show up on your credit. So Kyle, could you just briefly touch on that and how that works within this strategy?
Sure. Yeah, and if anyone wants to learn more about a DST, you can actually pull up the IRS code IRC 2004-86. So this has been around for over 17 years. It's surprising not too many people know about this, right? So you have to be an accredited investor to do Delaware statutory trust. So that's likely why a lot of people haven't heard about it. Now with a non-recourse loan, if you read in the IRS rulebook, if a DST sponsor or a real estate company goes and purchases property, puts it into a DST, if they decide to put or attach a mortgage to the property, by the IRS rulebook, there can only be one lien holder, meaning that the DST sponsor or the real estate company is going to be the only person on the loan. So when they add investors that purchase into the DST, the investor can acquire some of that debt. However, it does not show up on their credit report, so it's not recourse to them. If the tenant doesn't pay, their rent, and the lender or the lien holder defaults, the DST sponsor defaults on the loan, they're responsible for the loan. It's a recourse to them, non-recourse to the investor that did the exchange.
What a nice little extra added value on this DST strategy, especially if you are an investor that has multiple properties. I know that getting finance when you have multiple mortgages on your credit can sometimes be a little challenging. You got to get creative with how you structure things.
Yeah, or maybe even if you're getting close to retirement and you don't have as much income, you may not have the income to show to get more debt. So doing the DST is a one way to still have the benefits of the depreciation against your income, yet not having to have that on your credit score, not having to pay that mortgage anymore. So huge benefit.
Yeah. Speaking of huge benefits, knowledge is power, but knowledge by itself is not power. You got to execute on it. But the knowledge itself, if any of our people out there, you can go to teamlallydsd.com. You'll come to our website, and what you want to do is go to the resources drop-down menu and click on DST. That's going to take you to a window like this, and you're going to see this pretty lady over here with a video talking about, I don't know if you recognize her, but that would be somebody that's got personal experience. Who's that lady right there, Adrian, with the personal experience with the DST?
That would be me.
That's
and
you.
Yep. So did one about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and then now getting ready to do number 2, the next one. We're just waiting on some, I guess, the due diligence on a couple of DSTs that Kyle and his team are keeping us posted about. So very exciting.
The next opportunity, in case you're like, hey, I saw this and I want to get more information. Our next webinar is going to be Thursday, October 19th, 1 p.m. Hawaii time. And how do you register for this event, Adrian?
Right there on the screen. You got to go to teamlallydsd.com and put your info there. Now, I know that there may be people out there that are wanting to know this sooner, and Kyle is available. I think his calendar is linked to that page, so you can set an appointment with Kyle directly and just go over your particular scenario and if a DST would be helpful for you.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note, right, is there's lots of, there's not too many realtors that even heard of a DST. So I think, first of all, for people that are thinking about it, have investment property, is find a realtor that is knowledgeable in the DST and how it works. And, Adrian Attilio, they've actually done a DST. So, I'm not able to say that about many realtors. And I talk to hundreds of them each week, right? So definitely work with a realtor that understands real estate and understands how exchanges, 1031 exchanges work, and the DST. And then when you're looking for an investment advisor to assist you with the DST, finding one, identifying one, placing into one, is using someone that's done them before, not that they're doing it for the first time. So
Yeah.
there are many advisors that are licensed to do them, yet they've never done one in their career. My team and I, we've done hundreds of them, and actually we're
Yeah.
number one in the state of Hawaii in terms of DST transactions.
And then
That's
you
it.
guys
Number
can
one.
also help people that are not in Hawaii, right? You guys have
Yeah.
worked with investors all over the United States.
Correct. Yeah. And because we have, the experience and we have the contacts with the DST sponsors, we have a lot of leverage in assisting people all over the place, right? Not just in Hawaii.
Even in Canada, right? As long as they've had tax returns filed
Yeah.
in the United States for 2 years? Is that the rule?
As long as they have a U.S. tax ID, yeah, they can be from Canada, Japan. A lot of Canadians, Japanese, they own property in the U.S., right, for many reasons, and they're looking at doing an exchange for whatever reason. It's a good possibility for them.
Well, the other thing too, and folks, we make it so simple for you. If you're trying to figure out what realtor to work with regarding a DST, I think you should work with the realtor or real estate team that has a dedicated page talking about it. And then if you're trying to figure out, well, they're going to help me with the real estate side and what wealth advisor I should work with, I think you should work with the one that's on the page that's dedicated to DSTs, that wealth advisor, which would be you. So no brainer there, right? Just go to teamlalleydst.com. What else, Adrian?
So we're talking about this 1031 exchange as a vehicle to defer taxes, and the topic of our Friday Live is this American Families Plan. So Kyle, we want you to help educate us on what is on the horizon or potentially on the horizon with this plan, and how does it affect 1031 exchanges? How can it affect the investors' future investments? Why should we be concerned, and what can we do?
Great, yeah, thanks. I don't want to get too much into the weeds of politics or this plan, because a lot can change between now and when Biden, President Biden may potentially sign this into law. Yet, why people need to be aware of this now, even though it may not go into effect until January if it does get signed into law. And then what we can do about it is because it, if you look up, if you just Google it, right, it's how it's written. I was reading through it earlier today. It's amazing at the things that he wants to accomplish, and I agree with a lot of it. I'm a family man, and a lot of things that he's attempting to accomplish, I agree with and I like. Yet there is a cost to that, right? For any great thing that we add to the economy, to the people, there's going to be a cost in the back end in the form of taxes, either raising taxes or taking away something, right? And how it's written, it sounds like, yes, let's help everyone, great. Yet the cost potentially could be huge. And I'll give you just some of the highlights, just because I don't want to, it's not all bad, because what they want to accomplish is 4 years of free education. That's awesome. I've got 2 young kids. That's going to save me hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. 4 years of free education. It's going to help provide for people in childcare not having to spend more than 7% of their income on childcare. It's going to help pay for people that provide childcare, giving them a raise or a raised minimum wage. I agree with all of that.
So the childcare, is that just like babysitters, daycare? Is it also for teachers as well? I mean, I know that they're not like childcare, but they're they're underpaid. That's so they're included in the childcare.
Yeah, for the teachers.
Yes.
Yeah, so they want to raise the continuing education credits, the grants for the teachers. Yet also, I think in terms of providing free college, right, that's going to allow more people to go into the education field and give them a higher pay and replace some of the expenses that goes into. Hi, honey.
Speaking of kids, you've got a little helper there, I hear in the background.
Yes, hopefully, honey, will have free education for you in the future. They also want to provide a free preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds. I think that would be huge. It's costed me, almost 13 grand a year.
Oh, wow.
For preschool, right? And 2 kids. So add that together, times that by the opportunity cost. So those are just some of the highlights, right? And that's going to raise billions of dollars over the next 15 years. Yet one of the things they want to change, right, where they want to cut or take away is, number one, they want to raise the income tax for the top earners, right, from 37% back up to 39.6. I kind of agree with that, right? I think there's a lot of talk of the wealthy not paying their fair share of taxes. Okay, now on that note, I think the wealthy, they just spend a little more time figuring out how to use the law in their favor. So, I think that's going to continue to move forward. I did see that the IRS, part of the money is going to go to providing better oversight over people that assist with tax returns, so that there's more people that, they're not charging people too much to do the returns and putting them in harm's way. So I kind of like that there's going to be some oversight there. Yet the biggest thing that's going to take away is the capital gains tax benefits that we currently have, right? So at the moment, the top federal tax rate is 20%. They want to raise that up to 39.6%, so almost doubling the federal tax rate. So I hope it's not too loud.
Wow. So doubling the capital gains rate is one of the big items.
On the federal side, yeah. And then currently, if you're doing a 1031 exchange, you can defer your capital gains so that you can leave it to your beneficiaries that get a step up in cost basis, meaning they don't have to pay potentially any capital gains tax once you're gone. Now, what they want to do is they want to cap that. So if someone were doing an exchange, there would be a cap of 500,000 per individual. So a married couple would have up to $1 million of deferrable gains. So an example, if a husband and wife bought a property and it appreciated over 2 million, right? Right now, I can defer that, right? Do an exchange, defer it, and not pay any capital gains while I'm alive. Now, with this new proposal, if it goes through with a cap of $1 million, that means if I were to do an exchange, I could defer $1 million. You'd have to pay taxes on that last $1 million.
So right? The taxes could potentially be 40% on the federal side, and then how much on the state? I think you'd use an example. It looks like almost like 50%. So
yeah. So depending on
500,000.
Well, so depending on what state you're in, right? So you're going to pay federal potentially on the high side, 39.6. In Hawaii, our top capital gains rate is 7.25, right? It's higher in places like California, right? So 7.25. And then you've got the Medicare surtax, or we call it the Obama tax, of 3.8. So potentially in Hawaii, 50.65%. In California, closer to 55-60% of your gains, right?
Wow. So you've got to be, if this does pass, you have to be very strategic with how you defer your investment properties and when, because it's once a year, right? You have this waiver.
Well, actually, we don't know that yet, if it's once a year or once a lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Well, with a 50% tax rate, I think people are considering moving to communist Russia, where it's only 45%. Why move there for communism when we can have it here in our own state with these new laws? 50% taxes. Wow.
Yeah, and so here's a couple of things to note and why it's good to know about this now, even though it may not go into effect until next year. Is number one is, if it does go into effect next year, January, that means for people that are thinking about doing a 1031 exchange sometime in the future, it may be more beneficial, depending on how much gains they have, to do it in 2021 versus later, right? Because of that cap. That's number one. Number two is for those that are maybe thinking of just selling property and just paying the capital gains tax now. There's talk that even though the law may go into effect in January of 2022, they may retroact to April 2021. So what that means is people thinking, well, my capital gains tax on the federal side is just going to be 20%. So I'll just pay that in 2021. It might get retroactive to April, meaning that they're thinking they're going to only pay 20%. It might double to the 39.6 when they file their 2021 taxes.
Well, I see that.
So a lot of uncertainties looks like are on the horizon as far as the 1031 and the rules. So,
capital gains tax and exchanges.
This is the lunch hour. Everybody's at lunch. They're all watching us right now because they're like, I need to take a break and watch this thing about DST on the live stream. The blood is all in their stomach, digesting food. They're getting all sleepy. And even if there wasn't, that's a lot of information that you just shared with them. So if you want to counter the Kanak attack and not go into a coma with this information, all you got to do is call Kyle. All you got to do is call Kyle. He'll walk you through it, explain it. I want to share with you guys this new concept that I came up with, wealth building. It's called Spam Musubi. Would you guys like to hear more about this?
Oh, man. You talking about this in the lunch hour? That sounds good.
So it's called this Spam Musubi wealth building plan. And it's kind of like, you have the Spam Musubi where you got the rice and the spam, right? It cannot be Spam Musubi with just one or the other. You got to have both. So the spam, sorry, Kyle, I'm vegetarian, so you're going to be spam. You're the spam with Wealth Path in Solutions, and then I'm the Adrian and I with our real estate team. We're the rice, and then the DST is the seaweed wrap. Bring it all together. Bringing it all together. So that's my Spam Musubi wealth building analogy for today. Thank you.
I love that. We should put that on the website too.
I think so. I love it.
Musubi. Just bring it together, wrap it together. And then you know what? I went 7-Eleven. They have regular Spam Musubi, they got teriyaki Spam Musubi, and then they have deluxe. I would say we're deluxe. It's instead of $1.59, it's $1.89. We're deluxe Spam Musubi when it comes to building wealth in 2021. We're joking around. I think it's important to take topics that could be super boring, make them fun and exciting. That's why we do this. For those of you tuning in, going, "What the heck are they talking about Spam Musubi? I thought this was about DST."
And I bet Kyle can make a really excellent Spam Musubi, like just with all of his culinary training.
It's important. You gotta have a good spam to rice ratio, right? You don't the ratio's got to be right.
And the tension on the seaweed wrap got to be at so many kilojoules. But that's it. We like to make these the length of a TED Talk. We're right at about that length of a TED Talk. Adrian, was there any questions we should have asked Kyle that we haven't already covered?
No, I think we did a really thorough job today of talking about the DST, this American Families Plan, talking about Spam Musubi, and that unless there's anything else Kyle wanted to share, I think it's that time.
I think I just wanted to leave with how we can take action for those of you that if you have investment property or thinking of investment property, this affects you. How the plan's written is, this is gonna only affect the wealthy and it's gonna give to all the people that in need. This affects everyone. Like anyone that is building wealth, wants to build wealth, that doesn't own property yet, this will affect you too, right? Not just the people that make millions or billions. This affects all of us, right? It affects probably or impacts negatively the middle America the most, right? So I think if it's not already on there, I'll double check with your team to make sure that the link to take action, no matter what state you're in, that link will kind of explain what the American Families Plan is, how it impacts the industry, how it impacts investors. And then if you want to take action and send an email, there you go.
It's right there.
To your to the people, the politicians in
your local neighborhood. It's not going to send it to Spider-Man. Your local neighborhood Spider-Man is going to send it to your local neighborhood politician.
That's who we need.
So, anyway, that's it for our Friday live. Adrian, anything else? Other than that, we're gonna take us out with our awesome video
with
again.
With our outro. Video.
All right. For those of you who maybe came in late and you didn't see our awesome outro video, here we go again. Aloha, everybody. Happy Friday.